once again, the director's cut makes a big difference. Elektra, director's cut. Directed by Rob Bowman, it was released in January of 2005 with a runtime of 1 hour and 37 minutes. Starring Jennifer Garner, Goran Visnik, and Kirsten Zine, with Terrence Stamp, Colin Cunningham, and Will Yun Lee. A production budget of $43 million, with a domestic take of $24 million, a foreign take of $32 million, giving us a worldwide total of $56 million, making a profit of $13 million. Funny thing, when you're comparing this one to some others, like Catwoman for example. Now, Elektra cost half as much to make, less than half actually, and ended up turning a profit where Catwoman ended up turning an $18 million loss. I'm wondering where that extra $60 million was spent on Catwoman, because whilst it did have a much larger budget, it doesn't look anywhere near as good as this movie. I'd love to know what happens behind the scenes really, where all that money just goes, because you really just can't tell sometimes. On to characters, starting with Elektra. Now, Jennifer Garner does a much better job in this movie than she did in Daredevil. She portrays the character of Elektra quite well, doesn't live up to the comics level of combat and martial style and lethality. But then again, she's insane in those comic books, so it's kind of hard to. The Netflix version comes pretty close though. Next up is Abby, the young girl on the run with her father, trying to escape the Hand because they want to recruit her forcibly or willingly and take her into the war against the other half of the Hand, the good guys. Kirsten Zine portrays Abby really well, and you end up feeling for this kid. You actually end up getting a bit attached and just enjoying her performance overall. Goran plays Mark Miller, the father. Mark's a likable guy. He's a father trying to raise a kid, also happens to be on the run from assassins. Kind of stressful. Goran's got a real charisma, interacts well with Jennifer Garner. You can feel a bit of chemistry there. It doesn't feel forced. I wouldn't quite call him male lead. I'd more call him a primary support character. Another of which is Stick, played by Terrence Stamp. Stick is your callous, tough sensei. He's always got a plan. There's always a lesson underway here. If that means many years of exile as a ruthless assassin, so be it. Stamp has that fantastic voice, that resonant delivery. You always just love hearing him talk. Lastly, on the good guys, or kind of good guys side, is Elektra's contracts handler, McCabe. Played very well by Colin, feels quite realistic, almost relatable for the kind of man he is, with the kind of job he has. He gets like an abridged redemption arc, where he sacrifices himself to save Elektra, Abby and Mark, and I thought that was a nice way for this character to go out. For such basically a cold man who hires out and runs contracts for killers, he opts to go the heroic path at the very end. Our main villain being Kirigi, played by Will Yun Lee, who much to my surprise also portrays Sang-min on Hawaii Five-0. Anyway, Kirigi is your primary villain. He's the guy on the hunt, both for the treasure and wanting to kill Elektra while he's there. He's also the son of Roshi, head of the Hand, played by Kari Hiroyuki Togawa. Kirigi leads his team of Hand operatives, all of which have different powers. We have Stone, Kurkow, Tattoo, and Typhoid Mary. Forgot she was in this. Stone has near impenetrable skin and incredible strength. Kurkow seems to have ridiculous levels of reflexes and is just a really nasty knife fighter. Tattoo is covered in, well, tattoos, and they're of mystical nature, where he can summon animals out of them and they fly off or slither off or run off to do his bidding. And Typhoid Mary, with her ability to pretty much kill everything she touches. She spreads disease and contagion. She is walking death. They demonstrate her powers really well. I just think they underused her. Honestly, Typhoid Mary doesn't need the help. It would have been a very different movie if she was a primary villain. It would have just been a horror story of contagion and disease. She's one of those characters when you think about their powers and think about their abilities, it's just almost uncontainable. As much a threat as Kilgrave was in Jessica Jones series. Oh, and it turns out that Tom Woodruff Jr. is back as another monster actor. He plays the Demon. And I think I forgot to mention it in the previous review, but he was also the body actor for Goro in Mortal Kombat. On the whole, the characters are good. They've been fleshed out and expanded somewhat in this version of the movie. They make a little bit more sense and they're much more of a threat too. Whilst not all memorable, none of them are bad, which is very good news. It's actually nice to see a proper rogues gallery in this movie. A collection of villainous mystical ninjas is always kind of cool. Anyway, characters get a 3. Good time all round with no real negatives. Now for story. Despite its advertising, this is really a redemption arc. We have a super assassin for hire. She takes on a high-paying job that makes her question her own morality and her previous life choices. She ends up siding with her mark, siding with her targets, and protecting them from the hand and the other assassins who've been sent to kill them in her stead. On the way along, she will get some vengeance for the murder of her mother, reconnect with her old sensei, and rediscover her own humanity. All of that sounds great, except it's the primary problem with this movie. Or more to the point, how they sold this movie. This movie was advertised, all the trailers, all the marketing, everything about it, as a ninja martial arts spectacular. And it really wasn't. It's the old marketing switcheroo where you turn up expecting one thing and you get something else. See, this movie's more of a character study about a broken assassin, her shattered mental psyche. What does it take to find your soul? What does it take to find redemption? What does it take to realign your moral compass? It's a story of loss. It's a story of nature versus nurture. It's a story of good versus evil on a very personal level. It's not the kung fu ninja fighting martial arts epic it was sold as. And even though this story's good and I quite enjoyed it for what it is, word of mouth is going to kill a movie like this when everyone comes out going, that's not what I paid for. You order a burger, you get a really nice pasta salad. That salad's amazing and you enjoy it, but you're still set on a burger, right? Anyhow, in regards to this director's cut release, it doesn't feel as rushed as the theatrical version. They've taken more time setting up who Elektra is. They delve deeper into what she's done, what she can do. They delve deeper into her actual power set. Because one thing that was missing in theatrical release is explaining how she can do some of the ridiculous stuff she does. And the director's cut has put that how back into it. You now know that she can have future sight. She gets a premonition or a sense of what's to come. She can see events in the future. She can look down a corridor of time and see that turning left will get her killed, so she can opt to turn right instead. Best of all, they establish this visually. They don't have someone talking to you about it. You just see it happen. Brief little flashback to her death in Daredevil, or basically her in an ambulance. That was nice, tied it together. They also showed her holding the little chain. Very cool. Tied it in, tied it off, didn't go back there again. Also might have spent, an extra 30 seconds at the beginning establishing the pseudo-friendship between Elektra and her handler. Just a little thing, but it paid off later on when she just turns up on his doorstep, and he's kind of okay with that. He's not okay with that. She brings death and trouble with her, and he knows it. They spend a fair bit of the first act with Elektra alone at the island apartment. That's where we get all the deep diving into her psyche and her memories and her problems. They demonstrate her OCD, which is very nice. I enjoyed that. The dinner at the Millers demonstrate how incredibly out of touch she is with being a human and her awkwardness and her inability to relate really. She also doesn't drink alcohol. Whether it's a professional thing or it's just the fact that her headspace just can't handle those sorts of dreams that would follow, they never go into, but I thought it was a cool touch. All of this building up to her making the decision not to take out the contract on the Millers and side with them and help them. But it really looks like a struggle. It's a brief scene, but it really portrays the fact that she wants to do her job, but she doesn't want to do her job. And just making the choice to do the right thing really throws her out. Now, the fight in the Miller's house showcases all of her abilities very well. Her reflexes, her speed, her lethality, as well as her future sight and some other tricks that she's got up her sleeve. And then from there, it's chase, set piece, chase, set piece. They run off the fine stick. Stick says, you're on your own. They run away to the handler's place. The handler goes, why are you here? You're going to get me killed. Which it does. Run off to the forest. More fighting, more showcasing. I love the idea of Elektra sprinting through the woods and then just shadow stepping between trees to speed up her movement. Mainly done with audio effects and camera cuts. Simple. Effective. Forest fight also lets us see all the powers and abilities that the bad guys have. Tattoo in particular gets to show off again. Knife guy is kind of cool, then he's very dead. Stone is a monster. He's an absolute beast. So damn tough, Elektra has to kill him with a tree. In the theatrical release, you didn't know about her ability to see the future and time things out perfectly. So it looked really weak when Elektra hits him with the damn tree. He just happened to wander into the exact spot she needed him to. Now in the director's cut, you can make the logic leap and go, she probably saw where he was going to stand. Helps your sense of immersion. An immersed audience is a happy audience. And a happy audience tells their friends. And the friends go and spend money to see this movie. Doesn't sound hard to me. We have a classic straight out of the comic books ninja rescue by the good hand. Then we're back to the camp, some more exposition, some training, some explaining, followed by Elektra running off to do the right thing and save everyone, or at least eliminate the main threat so everyone can have something that resembles a normal life. Big final fight amongst the surviving villains and Elektra, an entertaining fight to watch, very much in the spirit of the rest of the movie and the spirit of some of the comics. Tattoo has great power, but his great weakness is the fact that he has to concentrate on what he's doing and he's not really home if someone walks up to him and, say, snaps his neck. Typhoid Mary is just a straight up psycho, and the only real way to kill her is at range, because going to hand-to-hand combat with Typhoid Mary is how you die slowly. Even if you're winning, you have to be breathing, and if you're breathing, you're losing. Final fight between Lady in Red and Not Quite Sith. Looks good, is engaging to watch, and the payoff is nice. It's a good example of why the villain shouldn't monologue or gloat before he's killed the hero. Evil Genius 101. First kill the hero, then gloat. It's got your happily ever after, which is, well, totally out of character for anything Elektra, but Fox had to wrap it with a hero, so what you gonna do? Anyway, it wraps with everybody safe, everybody happy, and Elektra walking away to a new, bright future. Something trite like that anyway. So as for story, I'm going to go ahead and give this one a 3.25. It's a good improvement on the theatrical release. It holds your attention quite well. It fleshes out the bits and pieces you needed to know, and it goes some unexpected ways. It tells a different story. It tells a different take on this sort of thing. And I enjoy it when a movie takes the time to look inside the character's head and show them what's right and what's wrong with them. So yeah, 3.25. Look and feel. Okay, straight up, this is another very nice looking movie. They've taken the time to frame some very, very nice shots. Elektra in the dark and you just see a bit of flash of red, or her silhouetted by a sunset, or shots of the mountains, or shots of the forest, or shots of the lake. Everything just looked really nice. I was having a ball just enjoying the scenery and the settings and the use of light and shadow. Even in the urban environments, it really engaged you. I mean, it's just a car park, but it's a very interesting looking car park. As you may have figured out by now, I'm a sucker for a good shot. I'm in if the visuals are nice. In amongst all that stuff are these really well used flashbacks. You're on this little journey with her as you get more of the story better told with more refinement as her memories come into focus. The musical score keeps flowing in the background. It's always there, just gently and subtly enhancing the moment, or building up into a big drum fest when she's getting into action mode and things are happening. Very enjoyable and adds to everything. Nothing about the music throws you out or jars you. Pretty sure they've gone through and enhanced a lot of the colors, especially the green. It just pops. Great use of black and white when she's got a future sight. Then they'll go and put other color effects and filters over things, depending on what mood she's in or depending on where the story's being set. Like every now and then her eyes are particularly green. When she senses something or detects something is unusual, you almost hear almost like the air gets sucked out of the room and then there's just dead quiet for just a second. And it gives you the hint that she knows something's up. It's very, very clever. Something I really want to talk about is the opening sequence where Elektra is creeping around a compound, knocking off guards, and infiltrating the base to kill off her main target. Well done, well shot, suspenseful, gives you all the story you need for her character. And speaking of story, here's where you find that entire scene, shot for shot almost. They use the panels from one of these comics as pretty much a storyboard. I couldn't believe it when I watched the movie the first time, because I'm a huge Elektra fan. I've got nearly every comic that she's ever been in. And to watch a comic that I've read play out on screen almost exactly, I got tingles. That was so cool. And according to the publication details in this, the comic came first. As for the CGI, look, it's in the movie. It's kind of everywhere. It's nowhere near as bad as it could have been. In fact, they did a really good job with such a low budget. Look and feel. This is a gorgeous looking movie. I really enjoy looking at the artistry in this film. It may have been a letdown for a lot of other people in a lot of other ways, but visually, I love this. This is a 3.5. No, actually this is a 3.75 because I got to watch one of my favorite comic book characters play out straight from the comics. Script and dialogue. Well, to begin with, this director's edition goes back and fixes some plot holes. Makes some of the scenes flow better, explains her powers, explains everyone's powers, really sets up the rest of the movie to succeed. Why do they cut these things out? Don't know who got scared by the mystical aspect of this movie, but if they'd left it in there, this would have made a lot more sense at the cinemas and probably made a lot more money. But then again, this was Fox, and if you can go and screw up something like the X-Men, you can pretty much kill off anything. All the dialogue is presented well. A lot of it's quite generic, to be honest. A lot of it's just filler. A lot of it's there to tell you what's happening in the story. But then again, you've got these lovely little character moments between people as well. Even Typhoid Mary gets a very simple couple of lines that explains all of her motivations in a sentence. They established that this movie's set quite a few years after Daredevil, which is good. I'm kind of glad that she didn't go from okay fighter to dead to amazing in like, what, 6 months or something? They're using the flashbacks very early on, and the foreshadowing for her future sight is used really early, which doesn't come into play until the second act, or the beginning of the second act anyway. They take their time with some slower moments to give the characters more development, get you to know them a little bit better, and that works well. The dialogue between Abby and Elektra is really quite good. You never know what you're going to get with some of the younger actors, or even some of the older actors, really, let's be honest here. But the chemistry of these two, they're dynamic. It works well. It sells itself. Garner is like 200% better than she was in Daredevil. More time and better material, I suppose. And she plays a slowly melting psychological ice block quite nicely. Not much more to say on script than dialogue. This one's really simple. It's good. There are no negatives, really. At worst, it's a little dull. There's nothing bad about it. So, hey, that's good. That's a 3. Fun factor. Yeah, I had fun. I had a great time, actually, myself. The fact that it wasn't the hyper-aggressive ninja fight movie that people are expecting, or that Fox sold it as, didn't disappoint me. I enjoyed the slow moments. In fact, some of the slow moments are some of the strongest moments. I'll be giving this a very happy 3 for fun factor. Honestly, the theatrical release was probably a 2.5 to 2.75, just for all the bits that they hadn't connected and it felt so disjointed. So yeah, this director's edition, big improvement. Good work, guys. You let the director do his thing. Who'd have thought? Final score. We add them all up. We get a 16. A good time all round. I quite enjoyed myself. Would I recommend this movie? Yes, I would. However, I would have to explain that this is not what Fox made it out to be. I want to make that clear, that this is much more of a character study and redemptive movie than it is Ninja Fight School. So with that in mind, please go watch this one. Much like Daredevil, if you haven't seen this version, you haven't actually seen the Elektra movie. Thanks for joining me, and thank you for putting up with my minor fanboy bias on this one. Hope you had fun. Please take the time to tell me what you think below. Like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. I'm really kind of keen to try and get to the 100 subscribers mark. As always, I hope you're having a great week, and that I hope you manage to find some time to go and watch a movie.